You're looking at probably the best used luxury sedan that you can buy in the market today. In this video, I'm gonna be talking to you why I personally think the Lexus IS250 and Lexus IS350 are the best used luxury cars that you can buy in this COVID era. If you guys haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like this video. My name is Sonduren. I've owned this Lexus and a Lexus IS250 for over 5 years. This is a Lexus IS250 with over 360,000 kilometers. We just hit that on the Odo. I'm super impressed. It's one of the most reliable cars I've personally ever driven in my life, and I've owned lots of cars. So if you guys have followed this channel, you know, from BMWs, Hondas, Mustangs, Fords, whatever it is, Audis, I've owned them all. This is definitely one of my favorites in terms of it does everything that you want it to do. It's an A to B commuter car. It's got luxury features, all for a price that's hard to beat. So in the price range in markets in Canada, you can get this. This is a 2009 Lexus IS250, again, 360,000 kilometers, but you could probably find something in this condition for about $6,000 to $10,000, which is a lot of value that you're getting in a car for the money, especially in the COVID market today. You know, prices have shot up. I made a video, which I'll link in the card above, of prices. They're finally starting to soften. And where you can get, I think, really great value in a car if you're looking for a car is one of these cars. This is personally one of my favorite cars I've ever had, not only because, number one, take a look at the exterior. While this is a 2009, I still think this is one of the most handsome, beautiful sports sedan cars that money can buy. Lexus hit it out of the park. I think it's a great design. I really, really do think it's aggressive, it's sporty, still luxurious, and it doesn't isn't boy racer at all. So I think it's really a great design on the car. In terms of reliability, this thing is just a powerhouse. Again, such high kilometers, how do you get there? Well, really, all it takes is just basic maintenance, right? We're talking oil changes, spark plugs, what else? Oil changes, spark plugs, brakes and rotors, the consumables, the easy stuff. And I actually have on my channel an entire playlist dedicated to this car, and I do all the maintenance on this car. It's super simple, super easy. If I can do it, you can do it. It just takes a little bit of time to do some research, check out my videos, and then you can basically have this awesome luxury vehicle and completely maintain it on your own in your own home. So what's better? You get a great value car that's super reliable, that you can maintain yourself, that can go ahead and do what you want. You want a little sporty feeling, it's got the paddle shifters. We're gonna step in, drive the car a little bit, show you what that looks like, but also on the inside. It's got decent storage, right? It's not crazy. You can still fit 5 people in the back. Probably 4 is probably the most that you can fit in the back. And I really do love the cockpit feel. Yes, it's a little bit of a smaller car. It's a sports sedan car, but definitely something that I know a lot of people talk to me about is just the all-around package that this car delivers, right? Performance maybe isn't so great. 200 horsepower-ish motor out of this V6. Fuel economy isn't the greatest either. So if there's any two negatives with this car, I'd say fuel economy, you're looking at around 12 to 13 liters per 100 kilometers in mixed city driving and mixed highway. But other than that, so besides the gas and the fact that it takes technically premium gas, there are people on the forum that actually use regular gas, and then obviously the NOx sensor is going to reduce that. You're going to get less power, potentially less mileage if you do that. So that's the one kind of nuance with this car. It does require premium. And then the other thing specifically on this car is that it can suffer from engine sludge buildup, which can be remedied. So if you use a high quality synthetic oil, you do your oil changes religiously, you won't have any problems with that. Again, 360,000 kilometers, haven't had any problems with this. If you can find an IS350, that doesn't actually suffer from those pain points because it's also port injected. So while this is a direct injected only car, the IS350 has both direct injection and port injection. So overall, this has been honestly a car I've really loved. If you guys know it as well, I went ahead, I put my lineup and reservation in for the Cadillac Lyriq. That's gonna be our first EV car, and that's gonna be great. That's gonna be a great daily driver. So most people would assume I should sell this, but I'm not going to sell this. I don't want to sell this car. It's an amazing car for $6,000 I'm gonna get. The value of this car is way more. And that's why I'm making this video, because even though the prices for these cars range from $6,000 to $10,000, I personally think they're worth more than that, especially with what's out there right now and what people are spending their money on. I would definitely get a reliable Toyota or Lexus for this type of money, and to have a great looking car that honestly stands the test of time, both in design and mechanically. So I've spoken enough. Let's get inside the car, see why I really like it, and let's go for a drive. All right, so we're driving the Lexus IS250, and you know, obviously one of the first things that I notice is that it's still a very comfortable ride. And I know I have a lot of kilometers on this, but even stock OEM refresh suspension, or even in this little bit worn suspension, the ride's still pleasant, right? And that's a really good, important thing for a daily driver commuter. Personally, for me, I have a lot of fun already with my Audi R8, so if I want noise and power and thrill, I'll go pick that up. But if I just want to get around town, go do what I need to do, this is great because it's just a comforting, relaxing experience. But that doesn't mean it's not kind of sporty in the same time, right? Like, I love the fact that it's got paddle shifters, so if you want to go into Tiptronic, you can. Now, this engine isn't going to blow you away or, you know, set lap times at the Nürburgring, but it's still got enough pep to, you know, get you moving a little bit, right? So it's still got enough of that pep. Now, as I mentioned, for a daily driver, the only thing is fuel economy is a little bit, let's say, under average or par, maybe is the best way to phrase it. Again, probably looking at 11 to 13 liters per 100 kilometers on mixed driving, which isn't so bad, especially if you're maybe not driving super long with your commutes. If you have a very long commute, then maybe that's some other story and you have something else to figure out. But I think if you're not too worried about the length of your commute day to day, you're not putting so much kilometers on the car, then maybe the mileage isn't so much of a negative point for you. But in terms of like everything else in the cockpit, don't get me wrong, it's 2009, so it's still a bit dated in terms of technology, but I already made a previous video, which I'll link in the card above, you know, for 50 bucks, everything less. I have Bluetooth audio connected here through my phone on my iPhone 13 Pro Max with this ESR Halo magnetic ring, which is going to also charge the phone. And I basically do everything from my phone that I need in the car. So in terms of Google Maps, voice assistant, etc., I still get a lot of that functionality, and I honestly think that's more than sufficient for this car. Everything else in terms of like the comfort, I love these seats, heated, cooled seats. You know, you don't get that in a lot of cars, right? You got heated and cooled seats in this car. Obviously memory adjustments, full bolstering and adjustments, electronic adjustments on the seats, with lumbar support options as well. You have the paddle shifters that are in a nice material. They're not aluminum. I think there's some sort of plastic, but they feel very nice. I do like that. And then as well, like, everything has just been super reliable. Air conditioning works, everything works. You have great visibility out of this car as well, so I can see everything. The A-pillar isn't so thick. That's awesome. Obviously, I can get my window adjustments. This car does also have a sunroof, so if you want, there you go, get some additional light in there. You have a sunroof with this car, and everything is honestly just a pleasure to drive in here. It is a bit, let's say, crammed. Again, it's a little bit of a sports car, a sports sedan, so it's not, you don't have all the room in the world, but you do have some cubby space here, you know, a little spot here for your keys, a little spot here. You know, here's the heated and cooled seats, the navigation system. You know, you'll probably notice, by the way, so there are some little flaws with this car, and honestly, they're super minor. I barely even talk about them, but I will talk about them all right now. So very, very minor. One, plastics, just the plastics on the exterior around the windshield. Some of the plastics are starting to fray and a little bit dry rot, and that's normal. You see that with a lot of cars. This car is pretty old now, almost 14 years old. You know, you're experiencing some of that. You can go ahead and replace those parts. That's not a big issue to me. Like, those are things that are superficial that don't really matter to me, especially if I'm looking for a reliable luxury daily driver. That's, you know, between $6,000 to $10,000 Canadian, right? The other thing is, yes, you see the dash crack. The dash has cracked. On these higher mileage cars, the dash can put a crack here. So it looks like there's a crack in your dash. Is this going to be the end of the world? In my opinion, no. I don't think that's a big issue. The other issue is the amplifier for these cars. They tend to go. So the amplifier will go. It's in the trunk. It's positioned horribly. If that does go, you'll probably have to spend, you know, $300 to replace it. So that's another small nuance, a little annoyance there. But other than that, this car is solid. By the way, if you see the check engine light here, it says check system and then the TPMS. That's because I have two sets of wheels on this car, and the TPMS unit is actually synced to the winter set and not the summer set. And I haven't synced the summer set yet, so don't worry, that's nothing. I know they really make it like, it looks like the engine's gonna blow up with that big warning sign, but it's all it is the TPMS system. There is a pipe bomb thing that you could do where you put a bunch of the TPMS sensors in a little bomb and put it somewhere inside of your car, but that's kind of crazy. I'm not gonna bother with that. But otherwise, like, very, very good in terms of like comfort and driving. So that's one thing important for a daily driver, right? Comfort, driving, get you from point A to point B. You know, you have the overtake power. when you need it, right? So it can give you a bit of power. You know, the 200-ish horsepower isn't all the power in the world, but it's enough. For daily driving, I think it's more than enough, right? So you're covered there. The transmission, this 6-speed transmission can go into Tiptronic. So there, downshift, third, downshift, second. You know, it's not the fastest downshifts in the world. It's not like the Acura NSX that I just came out of. It's obviously a commuter car. So, but honestly, what I want is reliability. Knowing that I can get into this car every day and be 100% comfortable that if I want to drive across the country right now, this thing can do it. And this thing can do it, which is really, really cool and awesome. It does burn a slight bit of oil, right? But that's okay. Most cars that are older, they will burn a little bit of oil, and that's okay. It's completely fine. But all this car really is needed is oil changes, consumables, tires. That's it. And if you keep it in good shape, you know, and I've tried to keep this car in good shape. It is a daily driver. I've tried to keep it in good shape, you know, polish the paint, put a ceramic on it, do all that jazz, keep the interior in a decent spot, and it treats me well. And it's still awesome to use. Everything works in here. And so I really am a Lexus fan. You know, I didn't own a Lexus or Toyota before I owned these cars, this IS250 and my previous IS350. But after I owned those cars, it completely bought me into the brand and everything that it stands for. And funny enough, back in my personal life, when I was doing product marketing for a software company that provided quality management solutions for Toyota, I actually got to go on a tour at the Toyota plant in Ontario, and that plant was so clean, so clean, you could lick anything off of those floors and it'd be perfectly fine. That's kind of where these cars are built, and I really appreciate and love that. You know, the quality of materials, the design, the engineering that they put into this is really impressive, and it obviously shows. Like, I can't imagine if my Audi R8, I don't think my Audi R8 could ever honestly go up to 360,000 kilometers, and I love that car. I know it's a completely different car, but it just shows you a little bit of like the reliability. I have a lot of buddies with German cars, you know, some of those Audi S4s, those BMW 335i's, you know, some of the twin turbo models, and you know, they talk about blown turbos, water pumps, all these problems, and I'm just like, oh my God, you guys are spending so much money on the repair bills for those cars. And with this, I just do oil changes by myself in my garage in like 20 minutes, flat, done. Super simple, super awesome. I love this car. So I think really, if you're looking for a car, used luxury, right, that can still seat 4 or 5 people, that still has decent enough storage, that's a little bit sporty, still looks great, very reliable, I don't see why you wouldn't pick up a car like this, especially with what's out there in the market. You're going to be looking at, what, some BMW 3 Series as comparison, Audi A4s, you know, in this model year. Those cars have some problems with those engines, depending on the model year, of course, but this is just a tried and true reliable engine. It's not the fastest, it's not the flashiest, but it's going to be the most reliable and get you point A to B, and you'll do it with a smile on your face every time because you know you probably won't be stranded on the side of the road. So that's my take. If you guys have owned a Lexus, what's been your experience like? Share it down in the comment box down below. I'd love to hear it, but like, I love this car so much, and even when we get that Cadillac Lyriq EV, I'm still gonna keep this. I don't wanna sell this. This is worth more than the $6,000 in terms of its value as a secondary car, as a car that I know I can go to and trust for a long road trip, where maybe the electric car during the winter, when the battery range is gonna be a little bit kind of finicky, I can pick this up and this will take me where I need to go all the time. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give this video a like, and again, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. A lot more to come with this Lexus, the Audi. Follow me on the Lyriq journey as well. Lots of cool, exciting stuff. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.